Well, hello there, and welcome to the Trending Now podcast for a Friday, July the 7th, 2023. Louis Butko here with you. Thanks so much for making us part of your day. Make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Trending Now podcast. And make sure you never miss an episode of Trending Now, which is every Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. here on CHCH, and again at 11:30. And I got to let you know that the Trending Now podcast is brought to you by the CHCH Sunday Blockbuster. This Sunday, Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill go back to school in 21 Jump Street. Brush up on your Miranda rights and stay cool undercover because these guys sure can't. Tune in Sunday at 8:30 on CHCH. Lots to get to on today's show, including Manesa Dhanabalan. She's going to be by. We'll talk to her about all the stories she covered this week. We'll talk to Kelly Botehlo. She was back from vacation this week. We'll get her thoughts on the week that was. And Laura Sebben, the producer of Trending Now, going to be by to wrap up the week for us here later on in the show. Because as always, it has been a busy week across the world, and we have it covered for you here on Trending Now. And let's get into some of the stories that made the headlines this week. And we'll start with some international news, and we'll start in France, where riots have rocked cities across the country as the death of a teenager has stoked long-standing complaints of discrimination, police violence, and systemic racism among law enforcement denied by authorities. Now, 17-year-old Nahel M. was killed by police during a traffic stop in a Paris suburb on June 27th. And since he was shot, rioters have torched cars and looted stores. Now, Nahel's death has fed long-standing complaints of police violence and systemic racism from rights groups and within the low-income, racially mixed suburbs that surround major French cities. Now, the boy's grandmother saying, quote, "I blame the police officer who killed my grandson. That's all I'm angry with. We have the police, and lucky for us that we have the police. And the people who are breaking things, I tell them, stop it. Stop it. They're doing this with Nahel as a pretext. No, people should stop." Now, the home of a mayor of a town in France targeted in the attack says that citizens and officials gathered in a French town of La Haye-les-Roses after the mayor's family home was attacked on Saturday night. Now, the mayor led the march along with other right-wing mayors and officials, and he later gave a speech denouncing what he called an attack on democracy. Now, his home was raided and set on fire while his wife and children were asleep inside, according to him. Now, his wife and one of their two children, aged 5 and 7, were injured as they fled the building in the early hours. Approximately 160 people were arrested over the weekend, according to the French Interior Ministry. Now, the relative calm following the 5 nights of heavy riots on Monday offered some relief to the government of Emmanuel Macron in its fight to regain control of the situation, just months after widespread protests over an unpopular pension reform and a year out from hosting the Olympics. Now, the Interior Ministry has sent about 45,000 police officers onto the streets each night to quell the unrest, which has mostly been confined to the suburbs, but has occasionally erupted into clashes in tourist areas. Now, the shooting of the 17-year-old with Algerian and Moroccan parents has tapped a deep vein of the anti-police resentment, specifically among Muslim communities of North African descent in particular, who have long accused police of racial profiling and violent tactics. Meanwhile, later on in the week, President Emmanuel Macron met with more than 300 mayors whose municipalities were affected by the violence to explore the, quote, deeper reasons for it. And during the meeting with mayors, Macron also promised to fast-track a new law allowing for rapid assistance with rebuilding damaged buildings, public spaces, and vandalized transport infrastructure. Now, also in international news this week, one of Israel's biggest West Bank military operations in years continued as the Israeli army alleges that the operation in the camp is against terror infrastructure. Now, the operation, which the army said was aimed at destroying infrastructure and weapons of militant groups in the Jenin refugee camp was launched with a drone strike in the early hours of Monday, and over 1,000 troops have been deployed. Now, Israeli forces have since begun to withdraw. The Palestinian Health Ministry says a Palestinian wounded during the clashes died, and another body was found on Tuesday morning. That brought the death total to 10, including 3 children, and around 100 more people have been wounded. Now, the Palestinian Red Crescent says it has evacuated over 500 families from inside the Jenin refugee camp. Some 14,000 people live inside the camp, which has been one of the focal points of a wave of violence that has swept the West Bank for more than a year, drawing growing international alarm. Now, earlier in the week, a Hamas militant rammed his car into a crowded Tel Aviv bus stop and began stabbing people, wounding 8. Now, one person who witnessed the attack said as soon as he exited through the window, he came right out the window, not through the door, like in a movie, with a knife in hand, and he started chasing civilians. Then you understand it's an attack. We ran for our lives. Now, a bystander was ended up shooting and killing the attacker, and Palestinian armed groups claim that the attack was revenge for the Israeli military offensive. Now, the fighting further underlining once more the lack of any sign of a political solution to the decades-long conflict. All right, also happening this week, the debut of Threads. Yeah, it's Meta's new app, which is described as a text-based version of Instagram, which, of course, is the company's photo-sharing app, but a text-based version of Instagram. And you may be thinking, that sounds and looks a lot like Twitter. And it's pretty true. It does look a lot like Twitter. Now, in less than 24 hours, 30 million people have registered for the app, including 10 million in the first few hours of its launch. Now, the biggest advantage is that Instagram users can log in with their existing usernames and follow the same account on the new app. And for users who have built their followers for years, that's a big deal. Now, although experts say the platform has launched well, it isn't perfect. For example, hashtags don't work. There's no direct messaging, and posts can't be edited. But the head of Instagram says they're building a list of features that they'll be adding in the future. But Meta's new offering has also raised data privacy concerns, since by default, and I went through this. I downloaded the app. By default, it collects health information, financial data, location, browsing history, and your contacts. It wants all of that just for downloading it. So it wants to know your health information, your financial data, your browsing history, and your location, which is pretty insane for an app that most people aren't going to use every day. But that's what you agree to when you sign up for these apps, by the way. Now, experts say if it's too early to tell if it'll knock Twitter off the throne. But when Zuckerberg was asked, that being Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Facebook, is that what we call him? President of Facebook? CEO of Facebook? I don't know. But when Mark Zuckerberg asked if it'll be bigger than Twitter, he replied on Threads saying, "It'll take some time, but I think there should be a public conversations app with more than 1 billion people on it. Twitter has had the opportunity to do this, but hasn't nailed it. Hopefully we will." Are those fighting words? Well, I mean, we know these guys are literally going to fight at some point. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. And for more on this, very pleased to be joined by Manesa Dhanabalan, who's been covering this story all week. Has really been on the social media beat a lot lately, because there's been a lot of social media to talk about. Manesa, have you signed up for Threads? Do you want to sign up for Threads? I was just talking about some of the data that is required, like just to sign up. Okay, you have to give up a lot of information to Facebook, which already knows a lot about you. Like if you have Facebook, if you have Instagram, like we can't be shocked of what Facebook knows.
Right,
about
that's
us.
what I was thinking too. Like at first, hi by the way.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh no, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
So when I did a story earlier this week, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna I had a feeling I would do another story on it when it launched. So I was like, okay, I'll like actually record myself doing it and you know, downloading the app and, you know, launching it or whatever. So I was going to do it. And then I saw all that data stuff. And then I was
financial, your banking information.
And I kind of was like a little like caught off guard, but then I was like, but wait, like I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have all those things on my phone. Like, does it really matter? Like I have TikTok on my phone. Like,
yeah. Does it, I mean, should it bother us though that we're giving up all this information? I mean, the browsing history, they're like, the thing is, you know, people complain about like, well, my ads are listening, you know, my phone is listening to me. How can I get such targeted ads on my Instagram? Like, I was just talking about this. It's like, no, you are a very specific algorithm to these businesses. Like, you are a piece of data on a plot point, right? So, I mean, like, these companies already know so much about you. So, like, are you that concerned about your security?
I mean, really and truly, at the end of the day, I'm going to end up downloading threads. Let's just be real. Like, it's going to happen. Yeah. I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. But I think here's the thing. I think we should be concerned, but none of us care enough because we live in a world where social media is just so, like, nobody wants to be left out.
Yeah.
And this is how you kind of keep up with things.
Like, so, if you were given the option to delete social media and like walk away from it,
I wouldn't do it.
What keeps you on social media?
So I don't use social media as much as the next person.
Okay, sure.
To be honest, what kind of makes me want to check social media is not to keep up to date with what's happening in people's lives. It's more just like in my free time. Like, for example, Instagram, I like to watch like cake videos, like icing. Yeah, I don't know why I like watching videos like that.
Sure.
And like, you know, just those things.
Are they like the very like visually pleasing cakes that are being iced, like the little flowers, like how?
Yeah, like
it's
those
like
kinds of things. I like that.
Relaxing, yeah.
Exactly, and I like also like some, you know, some of those videos where people there's a lot of interesting stuff on social media.
Yeah,
let's be honest,
I agree.
Right? So when you start looking, you start scrolling, you see videos. My sister always shares these really nice, you know, creepy, cool videos about like fairy tales when we were like younger and like all that kind of stuff. And I also like those videos that are like, they kind of go back to our childhood kind of stuff. Like those kinds of things.
Nostalgic trip.
Yeah. So I like those kinds of stuff more than to keep up with what's happening with other people's lives. Because sometimes that, you know, you need to be in the right mind space to actually see those. Because if you see a lot of your relatives and friends going on vacation, you start thinking, what am I doing? So.
You know what I've noticed about social media? And I mean, I don't post a lot of stuff. I post stories pretty regularly. Like, I post stories more than I post like posts.
Yeah.
Like if something big happens, like for me at work, like I think my last post was like me reporting from the Maple Leaf Square on my personal. Like I have a personal account and then I have like a professional account too. Like Louis,
I did the same thing.
Louis BTV is my professional one, and I'm not going to give my personal one on here because I find like sometimes viewers will find my personal one, and that one's kind of weird because it's not my last name. Like my last name's not there. Yeah, I don't want to give any more hints about it, but I don't know because like I think there's a certain aspect of this job where when you're on camera, when you're in front of people, like people want to know you. People want to, and there's some things that I just think like, nah, like you don't need to know who my family is. Like you don't need to know. Like there's some things you don't need to know.
Yeah.
And that's why I'd love to quit social media though, to be honest.
Honestly, I kind of like what I miss is when we were in elementary school. You were in elementary school too.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks.
No, cause
maybe a few years, maybe like grade 1 versus grade 8 here, but yeah, sure. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know, remember when the only thing that we could do was, you know, go outside and play like something with friends in the neighborhood and stuff like that. Like now you go outside and everybody's on their phone and stuff like that. Like, I mean, it's life. I get it, but you kind of, I didn't really experience how life was a lot before cell phones and all that kind of stuff and social media. But, you know, I kind of got a little bit of a dose of it and I kind of wish it was that way.
My thing, and like, I think this would be good if I were to delete social media is that like, when was the last time you printed pictures? Because like my grandparents, I was at my grandma's the other day. Yesterday, a couple days ago, I had a day off. She's redoing her deck and stuff, so I was helping out for a bit. But she's got like a full like office size room, so like smaller than a bedroom, but just like pictures on pictures on pictures. And like I think of myself, and like I have some pictures on the fridge, I have some pictures in frames, but like really, all my pictures live on my phone or on social media or something. And I think, for multiple reasons, in case I lose them, in case my phone goes underwater or something, my phone gets stolen. It's happened before where there's going to be a lot of memories that I just don't have.
Yeah.
Because, it's on social media. It's on my phone. They'll be fine. But I think that's the one thing, like printing pictures instead of posting them. I think that's a habit I want to get into.
Do you remember when we were younger and like our parents would always go to like the Photoshop area at Walmart? There's no Photoshop anymore.
I think there's not a photo. There's like a little kiosk, right? Yeah.
But even those, like I went a couple days ago and all of them were closed.
Were they?
Yeah, I don't know if it's because of the timing that I went, but this is the second time I'm seeing them.
Last time I did it, I think I went to like Walmart.ca. Then you submit your pictures there, and then you just print them.
Okay, so that makes sense.
I know
okay.
this is such a millennial thing to be talking. Like, how do you even print pictures? Like, I don't even know. How do you print pictures? Like
the little like film roll.
Yeah.
Like, those
disposable
used to be so
cameras.
Much fun. And the video cameras where you used to put like the little tape in, and then you would have to those are all really fun.
What do you got going on this weekend?
I actually have no clue.
No clue. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't have any plans as of now. And
are you gonna ask me what I'm doing?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was trying to hint at it.
I thought you were really hot. That's why you were waving. And I was like, it's kind of cold in here, Louis. What are your plans for the weekend?
Well, thank you for asking.
Wait, this is your first
Unprompted.
weekend?
So it's not. So it's my last weekend.
Okay.
So I'm off Saturday. So normally I work weekends, as we know on this show. I'm off Saturday for a wedding. Two friends from high school are getting married, and it's pretty funny because it's like one of my best friend's brother, who's a year older than I am, is marrying a good friend of mine's sister, who's a year younger.
Oh.
And so it's a lot of people. I'm going to know a lot of people at the wedding, which I'm pretty excited about.
Those are fun.
Yeah, so it's like all of Font Hill is going to be, like all of my hometown is going to be at this wedding. And then Sunday, it's a pretty bittersweet day for me because Sunday is my last day as part of the weekend crew.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so I've been on the weekend crew about 13 months now, and so we're going to be launching something pretty cool and new in the next few weeks or months. So it's going to take me off of the weekend evening news desk. So yeah, it's going to be bittersweet because there's a lot of talented people who work on that weekend crew, and I'm very much looking forward to having Monday, Friday. I talked about my family stuff. We do a lot of things on weekends, so I'm very much looking forward to doing that. But,
that's awesome.
My last weekend, so tune in on Sunday. That'll be my last show as part of the CHCH Evening News Weekend.
Is there like any...
I'm not.
Are you gonna
no.
go out with a big bang?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and go out I might call in sick, actually, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Our boss is listening.
Okay.
I might call in sick. Peeler's in the studio right now, being like, "Wait, will he call in sick?" Especially after a wedding.
It's loud enough that
especially
everybody
after
in the
a wedding.
Right?
Is that I don't know how loud I am out there.
It's pretty loud.
It's pretty loud. Okay, so I'm not calling in sick, guys. That was a joke.
I think too late. I think everybody.
Well, I guess I'll have to be here on Sunday then. Manesa Dhanabalan, I hope you have some plans this weekend. I hope something.
I actually
you
hope
have a wedding
I don't.
coming up. When's your sister's wedding? That's coming up soon.
My sister's wedding is coming up September 1st, and she just burnt her arm right now. So.
Oh, how bad?
And that's going to take it's a 2nd-degree burn.
Oh, how'd she do that?
It's really bad. So she wasn't thinking, and she was literally talking about wedding stuff, and then she reached over the kettle. And it was facing her.
Oh,
and,
was it going off? Was it steam? Was it?
Yeah, it was steam. And it literally went right into her arm. And the burn almost looks like a bite you take out of an apple.
Oh.
And then the burn, the whole thing, the swelling is the size of an apple. Yeah.
Well, good luck to her.
Yeah.
Lots of aloe vera, apparently.
Yeah, she's been doing that.
Yeah.
A lot of, we used to do toothpaste, right when you get the burn. Yeah, you put toothpaste on it. It actually kind of helps a lot.
I think I did toothpaste when I was a little pimple-faced kid, as a teenager.
You put toothpaste on your pimples?
Yeah,
It works?
overnight, yeah.
Because it because it dries it up, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never knew the science behind it. I just never had little pimples as a
Did you watch Dr. Pimple Popper?
No, it's disgusting.
Okay.
That's so gross. That's so gross. The squeezing and the everything else. Manesa, I know you're very busy getting today's story ready, so thank you for making the time.
Thank you so much.
And my thanks to Manesa Dhanabalan for joining me on today's show. Still ahead, Kelly Botehlo going to be stopping by, and we will wrap up the show with Trending Now producer Laura Sebben, who will be by as well. But also trending this week, the grocery store. How much are you spending at the grocery store these days? Well, most can agree that even just a small basket of odds and ends is enough to elicit shock at the checkout. Now, the math is scary. And no joke for so many Canadians struggling to feed themselves and their families. But this month's GST check will feature an added bonus for some Canadians. They'll be getting a special payment to help with the rising costs of groceries. But no one is going to tell you how to spend that one-time rebate. Now, a family of four will receive up to an extra $467. And the more kids you have, the more money you'll get. Meanwhile, a single person with no kids will receive $234, and seniors will receive an average of $225. Now, but not every Canadian adult will get this money. Now, you might receive the grocery rebate if you were entitled to receive the GST HST credit for January 2023, but you could be eligible for one and not the other because the rebate is calculated based on your 2021 tax return. Now, in a news conference on Wednesday in Toronto, Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland says overall inflation in Canada, which sits at 3.4%, is actually lower than in the U.S., United Kingdom, Italy, and Germany and France, but food inflation is higher than overall inflation, and grocery prices were up 9% from year-ago levels in May.
That will not make up for all of the impact of inflation that Canadians have felt. But for those who need help the most, for our most vulnerable neighbors here in Toronto, and for millions of Canadians across the country, the grocery rebate will provide some important breathing space at a time when people really need it.
Now, the grocery rebate was officially issued this week, but according to the Government of Canada's website, if you did not receive the money in your bank account or mailbox, you should wait 10 business days before calling Service Canada. I had to call CRA this week for an unrelated grocery rebate thing. I called at 4 o'clock. I was told that the wait time was an hour to 2 hours. And I said, okay, I'll call first thing in the morning. I called at 8:30, which is when the lines open. When I called at 8:30, it was a 2-hour wait. So obviously people upset if they did not get their money this week. But Kelly was joined by food policy professor Sylvain Charlebois from Dalhousie University to get his take on the rebate.
Well, obviously it is going to help some people. It's $2.5 billion, helping more than 9.5 million Canadians. And a lot of people do need that help. Obviously, you can use that money to buy anything, really not just grocery. They call it a grocery rebate because we do have many governments, not just the federal government, but many governments politicizing the issue of food inflation. But it is going to help for a while, but it doesn't solve our food insecurity problem in Canada. Still, lots of households are being left behind. And so that's why I think we've reached a point where we need to think about more sustainable solutions to help households, people in need.
You say calling it the grocery rebate is politicizing the issue of food inflation. Can you explain?
Well, I think it's diverting the issue because the intent is to actually gain political capital, really. But at the end of the day, when you actually send out more money, it could actually make inflation worse because inflation is first and foremost a monetary phenomena. If you have too much public spending, you can actually make food prices go up even further. And that's the danger of not having a sustainable, clear program to help the needy.
So this rebate actually won't do anything to fix the food inflation problem in Canada?
No, if anything, food prices could go up as a result. Now, it is just $2.5 billion in a grand scheme of things, is not much, but that's in addition to many other provinces doing the same thing over the last 12 months. So it adds up, and so the influence is certainly there. The pressure is certainly there to actually raise prices.
What do you think the government could do that would have a bigger impact right now to help Canadians with the cost of food?
I think that we need to think hardly about two scenarios. I think one would be a guaranteed minimum income. It's been discussed several times. In Ontario, of course, they were pilots looking at this issue. They were both canceled when Doug Ford took over, got into power a few years ago. Unfortunately, we need more data. We need to understand how a guaranteed minimum income would work in our economy. And so that is certainly worthwhile pursuing. The other program that I think is getting more traction is this whole idea of developing a SNAP program, similar to what we have in the United States. It's mostly known as a food stamp program, but nowadays you can just give a plastic card to people and they can go into a grocery store, and only in a grocery store, to spend that money. And you can actually be fairly targeted by encouraging people to buy healthy products and products from your own regions, local products. And so I think that concept also merits some attention in the future if we are to really deal with food security in this country.
And that was Kelly Botehlo with food policy professor Sylvain Charlebois from Dalhousie University. Am I saying that right? Am I putting too much? Sylvain
Charlebois.
Charlebois. What a great name.
Yeah, I love it.
Very smart man. Very smart man when it comes to the food industry.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He knows what's going on. This grocery rebate, I mean, it feels like once a month we're talking about prices at the grocery store, because it is really one of those things that at the end of the day, it affects everybody.
Yeah, everybody wants to talk about this because it just, can we say pisses? It pisses everybody off.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, you know, like I mentioned in my story, you go into the grocery store for a couple of things, not even like, you know, enough to make a meal out of.
Yeah.
Just to, you know, maybe a bag of chips and some fruit and something else, and then it's like $50.
Yeah. I've been doing this thing where I'm pretty stubborn. Like, I don't like getting the big push baskets.
Okay.
I'm single. I live by myself.
Yeah.
I shop for one person. And if the like handheld baskets aren't there, then, you know, forget it. I'm not looking. So I go like handheld.
That's one way to be on a budget.
I try. And then you still put it all out. And even that, and, you know, we talk about this, like going to different grocery stores, checking the flyers. I mean, like, that's a lot of extra work just to save a couple of bucks at the grocery.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you have to go to different stores to get the deals, that's very time consuming. Plus, you may be driving around town too, wasting gas. Yeah. So it's really hard to say like what the best solution is. But you know, every time I talk to Sylvain Charlebois, he always says like you got to be up to date on the flyers, especially if you eat meat. That's something that's really expensive. So make sure you're checking that. And he always suggests pork. Because it's cheap.
Every time. He's like, eat the pork.
Yeah, but, you know, not everybody eats pork or likes pork. So, yeah, it's tough for a lot of people. It's really sad.
And I know we were talking about this, you know, earlier when we were talking about, you know, before the GST, I think it might have been last week, the grocery rebate, where they're talking about independent grocers. Like, we need more of those because when you look at the grocery stores, they're controlled, much like, you know, big telecom, where there's three huge companies that have.
We know how that works out.
Right? But you look at grocery stores and it's the same thing. It's Metro, it's President's Choice, Loblaws, and really, like, there's all these stores with, you know, you might be thinking like, well, you know, forget Fortino's, I'm going to shop at No Frills. And it's like, well, really, at the end of the day, the guy who's getting the money is pocketing all the money.
And there are variations between the, you know, the stores in the same, I guess, company, like No Frills or, you know, a Fortino's or something like that. There are some savings to be had if you do switch. But, like you said, there's a few huge corporations controlling the majority of food that Canadians have access to. And if we did have more independent grocers, that would add competition and hopefully bring down the prices a little bit.
Shout out to Big Reds.
Oh, what's
They're
that?
in Thorold.
Okay.
They're like a butcher. Like, it's mostly a butcher. I was there yesterday. It was packed. It's awesome.
Nice.
But it was like great deals, like fresh butcher. It's always packed. I got like bakery stuff. I try to shop independent. I try to go to the farmer's market, but I'm also very cheap, and I'm checking the flyers literally every week to see what's there, and like, okay, maybe I'm going to basics this week for my staples or things like that.
And that's the thing too with independent grocers or like, places that are more niche, like, little markets and whatnot. Yeah. They also probably don't have the same buying power as these huge corporations do. So they probably can't have access or offer the same deals to Canadians.
Well, and my thing I find sometimes too is like, it can be cheaper to eat out.
Yeah.
Like it could be cheaper. Like I'm a cheap ass son of a gun. I am a cheap son of a gun. And, even here, I'll be on my phone being like, oh, there's 2 for $5 cheesemburgers at Harvey's with a coupon. I'm like, I'm too lazy to go to the grocery store. Grocery store is too expensive anyway. But the one thing I have noticed, I'm a lot more aware of food waste.
Yeah.
With the rise in cost of groceries.
Yeah.
Like throwing out, like I'm trying to do, like if my lettuce is wilted, I'm putting it in water to try and bring it back to life. Yeah, I'm trying to do.
Well, it hurts when you got to throw something out. Like, I mean, and I've never ever been a fan of food waste, but like, especially now when you're paying astronomical price for lettuce, it's extra devastating.
I find myself like 11 p.m. sometimes being like, gosh, I got to cook that. Like that needs to be cooked. That's about to go bad. And I'll just cook it and then put it in the fridge. Like,
and there you go.
Like,
then you have lunch for tomorrow.
And then it's not wasted, right? Big plans for the weekend? You got a wedding.
Yeah, I got a wedding. We all have
weddings this weekend.
Not the same wedding, but.
No. The three of us in this building who are going to weddings. None of them are the same. What's your favorite thing about weddings?
Oh.
Are you?
I'm there for the food.
Okay, yeah. Me too. Because that's what I was gonna like. I'm there for the socialness of it.
Yes, of course.
But like, let's get through like the ceremonies. Sometimes they're too long.
Absolutely.
Right. Like I'm not getting emotional. Like I've known these people for years. Like the 10 minutes they're gonna stand up here, and maybe this is my disillusion of marriage, but like the 10 minutes they're gonna stand up there to exchange these words. Nothing has really changed other than signing this piece of paper.
Okay.
I know, that's how I feel about it. Bring on the food is what I want to know.
I think that's the most important part of a wedding. Like that's the thing that guests take away the most. Like, did you have a good meal?
Yeah. Or how was the food?
Yeah.
Right? That's the number one question. That's probably what I'm going to ask you on Monday. How was the food?
We'll compare.
Yeah. That, and if you're having a cash bar, please don't invite me to your wedding. That's the only.
It's going to be a no for me.
It's going to be a hard no. You're going to want a gift, like a card with money in it for a cash bar.
I mean, comp my beer and we'll talk later.
Yeah, exactly. Well, enjoy your wedding.
Thank you.
We'll see you on Monday. Thanks for doing
see ya. Thanks.
Kelly Patel, everybody. Yeah, seriously. Cash bar, get the fuck out of here. Get the fudge out of here. Okay, thanks, Kelly. Kelly Botehlo, my thanks to her for joining me today. Still ahead, Laura Sebben going to be by. Just one more story I wanted to get to, and it's one we've been keeping our eye on because it involves the war in Ukraine, as U.S. President Joe Biden has welcomed Sweden's Prime Minister at the White House this week in a show of solidarity as the U.S. presses for the Nordic nations' entry into NATO. Now, it comes a week before the alliance's annual summit. Joe Biden says it's very important for Sweden to join. Now, Sweden and neighbor Finland ended their long-standing policy of military non-alignment after Russia invaded Ukraine in February of 2022. Now, both have since applied for NATO membership, but Sweden's admission has been held up by Turkey and Hungary. Now, Turkish President Recep Erdogan says Turkey will not back down on its opposition to Sweden joining NATO until all of its demands are met. Now, in addition to Sweden's NATO bid, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is pushing hard for his country to get membership as well, calling on Biden to invite the country into the alliance. The international foreign ministers coming down Ukraine's request, saying that because the country's military has become reliant on donated equipment from NATO members, the process of Ukraine joining the alliance would likely be accelerated. In the meantime, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will travel to Europe next week for the annual NATO Leaders Summit and join other nations in pushing to allow Sweden to join. And before we go, let's take a look at some of the lighter news that happened this week. It doesn't always have to be light entertainment. Laura Sebben is here, our in-house entertainment expert and producer of Trending Now, putting a lot of pressure on you.
Okay.
Keke Palmer getting shamed by her husband?
Not even her husband.
Her partner?
Boyfriend, baby daddy, whatever.
All right. So what happened here?
I guess she just innocently went to an Usher concert and thought nothing of it. And then somebody posted a video of her and Usher like dancing. He came down to the section that her friends and her were sitting in and they were dancing. And then her boyfriend quoted the video, like he quote tweeted it and was like, "The outfit though, you a mom." And everybody was like, "Bro, shut up." Essentially, they were like, "Shut up." And then he like doubled down and was like, "No, like I should be allowed to I have morals and I have standards and a man should be allowed to say that he doesn't want the mother of his child wearing certain outfits." And then, it was just a whole thing. And then people kind of found, because he's like not famous.
Okay.
So like, what a way to go down. Nobody knew your name and now everybody knows your name as being like the worst boyfriend ever. But he had posted a video of her not too long ago on his Instagram account. And I don't think she was in
There's a picture of
risque
her
outfit or anything, but she was like kind of like twerking and like dancing and whatever. And he was like, "That's the mother of my children," like hyping her up, and people were like, "So why are you beefing her now?" And then he deleted his Instagram and his Twitter. So
pulled up the quote here. "We live in a generation where a man of the family doesn't want the wife, and mother to his kids to showcase booty cheeks to please others. And he gets told how much of a hater he is. This is my family and my representation. And I have standards and morals to what I believe. I rest my case."
what a loser. Like, honestly. And she looked so pretty. And she wasn't even doing it. That's why I think everybody was like ripping on him. They're like, she's in a literal. The dress was like from her neck all the way down to her ankles. It was just sheer. And then she had a black bodysuit on underneath. Like, it's not a controversial outfit, in my opinion.
Well,
in most, I feel, people's opinions, which is why he no longer is active on Twitter.
yeah, but I mean, like Minnie's and I were talking, I would love not to be active on Twitter.
Why?
It's so time consuming.
Okay.
And really, at the end of the day, it's just annoying at this point, you know?
Okay.
Is it not? You're not annoyed by Twitter?
No, I love Twitter. I can't believe that app's free sometimes. Like, the stuff that you see on it and the jokes that people make.
Well, you should pay. If you love it that much, you should pay for the service, right?
Yeah,
because they give you that option.
They do, but I don't.
And you get that nice little blue check mark.
I don't love Elon Musk, so I'm not going to pay him. Yeah, but he's not the reason why I love Twitter.
Threads?
Threads, I'm on it. I'm on.
Have you posted?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say?
Trying. Just dumb stuff. Like
hot takes?
I think the last thing I said was, "Let me know when Timothy Chalamet's on this thing."
That's a good one,
was the last
I like that.
thing that I said. But no, today all over Twitter, if we're going to be talking entertainment, Taylor Swift.
So
re-record.
Speak
now.
T Swift has a special place, like, for me.
Does
she? Because she like came out when I was in high school.
Okay.
And like we moshed to Love Story at,
of course,
like at school dances, like every school dance, it was a mosh pit to Love Story. You Belong With Me, absolutely banger. Mm-hmm. Speak Now was never really a huge album for me. I would say Red was probably a bigger one because it was like college and it was like
okay.
Speak Now, not much on it.
You weren't
not much to. I listen.
Went on a Taylor Swift hiatus and
I did
for a bit there.
For a bit. I'm not going to lie. Midnight last night, happened to be up, went to the app, fell asleep to it.
Okay. Like, fine. That's
dedicated. Dedicated. But in high school.
Probably my favorite.
In high school, me and two of my good friends, we all had matching Taylor Swift posters from the Rolling Stone cover that she had.
That.
So it was like grade 12. Like I wasn't home. Like they had dropped it off at my parents. Like, okay. So they dropped it off, and like I had gotten home from work that day, and my mom was like, "Oh yeah, like Trent and Bradley were here, and they dropped something off." Like I'm like, "What is it?" I'm like, "I don't know." They just giggled and kind of ran away, and so I opened it. It was a Taylor Swift poster. They have matching ones.
Nice.
I still have the poster.
Nice.
It's gone with me every single place I've lived from Kelowna to Toronto to Hamilton to St. Catharines. Like every apartment I've been in, I've had a Taylor Swift poster hanging up.
I love that.
Right?
Why not?
Even though you're a Taylor Swift hater.
You don't expose me like this. I just
speak your truth.
She's not my favorite person. I'm not.
Wow.
I don't hate on her music. I listen to her music.
Okay.
And I think she can make a really good song. Do I think she's a really good singer? No.
Wow. Canceled. Talking about being canceled.
I know all the Swifties are going to come after me. I don't know. Everybody just has their personal preferences, and she's not, as a person, my favorite.
Yeah.
But I will listen to her music, but not the re-recorded version.
Yeah, you want to give Scooter Braun the money. Yeah.
Listen, when I like a song, I like the song how I liked it. Okay? I don't want to listen to it in a different, even though
it's hardly
it's basically
different.
the same.
Yeah.
She sounds different. Her voice is a little bit different, making
different.
little adjustments to some of the music elements of it here and there. Like, I want to listen to what I listened to when I was in grade 8, and I want it to sound the same.
Speaking of which, you are pretty jazzed about Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to Beyonce. I'm a new Beyonce.
Beyonce, a new Beyonce fan. What? So you didn't like her like growing up? It was this.
No, yeah, like she was like there, like, yeah. And I would listen again. Same thing. I would listen to her music, but I wasn't like a Beyonce stan. And then she dropped "Break My Soul" last year.
Yeah, break my soul. That
one of the best songs ever. I love that song.
Really?
I loved it, and so I was really looking forward to her album because I was like, if they all sound like this, I'm gonna love it. And then the album came out, and she was my top artist. She was my top album I listened to last year, like when they do the rap at the end of the year. So I was like, I need to go to this concert because this is the album that's gonna carry the concert. And yeah, I'm pretty jazzed up about it, like you said.
Rogers Center? Mm-hmm. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't been to
what's your plan?
A concert.
What's your plan of attack?
I don't know because the two
like
people,
Sunday. What's like go training? Are you gonna get
no? We're not gonna probably
before,
go train because
lunch before dinner
switched
before
to buses for this weekend.
What?
I know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, between Aldershot and Oakville.
Oh, again this week? Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, it sucks.
No offense.
It's like traffic hell. Even after the show today, I can't even take the Skyway Bridge tonight.
Oh yeah, because full closure, right?
6:30. Yeah, by the time I get out of here, it'll be 8 o'clock, 7:30.
What a disaster. Anyways, no, we don't really have a plan. The two girls I'm going with, they have a bridal shower earlier in the day. Oh. So when that's done, I'll just link up with them. I don't know. I don't know. I should probably message them and ask what's going on.
Figure it out.
No, I'm excited. I haven't been to a concert at the Rogers Center since One Direction.
Damn.
That was so long ago.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I haven't been to that big of a show in a really long time. So.
Well, that's awesome. We'll have fun.
Thank you.
And you took Monday off, so you know you will have fun.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Laura, appreciate you doing this.
Thanks, Louie.
All right, my thanks to Laura Sebben for joining me. My thanks to Manesa Dhanabalan and Kelly Botehlo as well. My thanks to you because you know what? We could not do the show without your support. So make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Make sure to get trending now every Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. on CHCH and CHCH.com. We will be back next week from all of us here at CHCH. I'm Louie Butko. Hoping you have a great weekend.